I'm sorry, but your kitchen looks cheap. No, I'm just kidding when I say that. But don't go and spend $50 to $100,000 on your kitchen till you understand what mistakes have been made that impact the look of the kitchen and how you can avoid these mistakes and also fix them, even if you've already done any of these improvements. Now, these tips won't cost you thousands of dollars either. And in this video, I'll cover things people are saying and also from my own experiences with doing a kitchen remodel. And these little things can make a big difference, so just stay tuned. Now, that kitchen area is always one, if not the most important room in your whole house. I mean, let's face it, we enjoy cooking with the family or entertaining our guests, and you want that spot to make you feel good when you are there. And the one thing I hear from most people when I'm out showing homes is that a lot of the cabinets in some of the homes look like they're builder grade and they're not even updated. And even when I'm out buying homes to remodel, they still have these builder grade cabinets in them as well. And no, not everyone has a budget to just go out and buy new cabinets. Also, a lot of those builder grade cabinets, they're still in great shape. And if so, you can always paint them or add new hardware to those cabinets without breaking the bank. That's really a more common option people take anyway. But if you're planning your kitchen renovation and trying to decide on cabinets, just know you don't need to go out and spend $30,000 to $40,000 on cabinets. And depending on the value of your home, in most areas, most people, they don't even pay attention to those high name brands anyway. Instead, places like IKEA or big box retailers and other online sites have cabinets that do not look cheap at all. I have a place here locally that is not over the top expensive as well. And the cabinets, they still have the quality of the dovetail joints and those soft closed doors that everybody loves. And with that said, some people say to avoid buying those cabinets with those half overlays, as that always helps the kitchen look better. Now, if you have those half overlay doors, don't sweat it. It's not a major deal at all. There are other ways you can always change those cabinet faces if you decide to. And really, they look just fine unless you choose the wrong style cabinet. Then at times, they can look a bit cheap, but again, there are ways to even make those look better as well. Now, you can go with a full overlay or an inlet cabinet when choosing your cabinet style. And what I mean by a full overlay cabinet, that means the door covers the whole cabinet, and it's more commonly found at most of the retailers. And an overlay cabinet basically conceals the opening to the storage area. And that full overlay would not affect the overall storage of the cabinet like an inset cabinet will. Now, an inset cabinet is one that is completely flush with the cabinet face frame when it is closed. Now, that style can be a bit more pricey as it's a little more on the custom end, but it looks great. But the full overlay is just as good as well. And again, if you have the half overlay, it is still going to be just fine as well, but just telling you what the overall consensus seems to be amongst people and those I actually deal with. Now, if you don't want to break the bank buying those cabinets, you can change the doors out on those existing cabinets. And that is a much cheaper way, and you can give it a new look, just like in my previous example of painting those existing cabinets. Now, there are some do-it-yourself friendly options out there to show you how to do this, and it'll take a little time. And you can also go ahead while you're doing it, add some new hardware, and add those soft close hinges. It'll save you a bunch of money doing this, and it will update your cabinets from looking old and dated as well. The next thing that can make a kitchen look cheap, even though this is done with high-end cabinets as well, so it's not cheap, but it's not having enough drawers. And if you've already done a renovation, then maybe as stated earlier when I was talking about changing the cabinet facing, you can actually go back and add drawers to those cabinets. Or if they're not able to do that, add some sliders within those cabinets to add just that little more organized storage area. And again, there are some do-it-yourself sites to show you, and with a little skill, you can go and add those drawers or those sliders to your existing cabinets. And like I said, it adds a bit more functionality to the kitchen and even more functional storage as well to give it that more high-end feel. Now, the next thing, this is an easy fix, especially if you have those 8 or 9 foot ceilings, and that's not finishing your cabinets all the way to the ceiling. Yes, we've seen those cabinets that have the big open space between the top of the cabinet and the ceiling, and people have tried to test their skills with interior decorating, but yet there's just a bunch of dusty decor all over the top of those cabinets, and it just gives them a bad look. And at times, it also looks like an awkward space in some homes. Now, please don't get upset with me saying this, as I do realize that it's an additional cost to do this, and I'm not saying anyone is cheap not doing it, as I totally realize the extra dollars it takes. But if you can at least build a soffit or install some lighting up top, that'll all at least take the focal point right up to the ceiling. And again, these are just things I've experienced when I'm out with clients or in some of my home renovations when I haven't done this myself. So, hey, you're not alone on this. Now, if you're in the process of renovation, you may factor this in, and you might be thinking those extra cabinets are just going to be wasted space. But if you can do it, add those extra cabinets. And yes, they may go as wasted space, but they will also look so much nicer up there as well. From renovating many homes, I've gotten this one wrong a few times, and hopefully this next one can save you right away from my mistakes. That is not factoring in the correct size of the refrigerator for the project. I mean, there is nothing that looks worse than a great kitchen design, only to have that refrigerator that sticks out like it was a poor installation job that was done on that kitchen. It flat out looks like the proper planning design just wasn't done. And if you are in your initial phase of planning your kitchen design, then just make sure you know the dimensions of your refrigerator to plan for your layout with whomever you're working with, or for your own knowledge to assure proper fit of this. Now, there are also counter depth options or custom solutions, obviously, but of course involves many more dollars. So the best thing to do is hopefully you will know the style of refrigerator you are using and just plan accordingly, as a refrigerator that fits good will pull that whole kitchen together. And this is also one thing that is so easy to avoid up front. And again, I've learned the hard way on my renovations, so please take note of this one and don't do what I did. Now, next on the list is that over-the-range microwave. Yes, now, understandably so, if that's all the configuration can do with the space, then it's totally okay. And again, it is okay if you prefer that style, as I'm just telling you that people nowadays like the range hood option. And also, let me stress, make sure that that range hood gets properly vented, as it always gets called by those home inspectors all the time, because you need to make sure that everything gets moved away from that area, such as moisture and such. And also, if you are connecting your microwave above the range, make sure that it has sufficient ventilation too, just to prevent that moisture buildup and so forth as well. Now, they have changed the styles of these microwaves through the years. They have more sleeker looks, so you can consider that as well if you were doing a kitchen renovation. The next thing here can make or break a kitchen, in my opinion. Now, again, this is only to those that have done a renovation and not intended for anyone that hasn't touched their kitchen yet. And also, I am not by any means saying that your kitchen looks bad, but if you've done a renovation or you're updating your kitchen and you leave out that backsplash for, say, maybe a later time to finish, that can really make your kitchen look cheap. Now, if you go out to the tile stores, you're going to see so many different types of selections to choose from that will just give your kitchen that over-the-top finished look. Now, me personally, with all the renovations that I've done, I prefer the subway tiles. I think it just gives it a classic, timeless look, but there are also so many other options you can choose from. And nowadays, the current popular choice is that one-piece backsplash that matches the countertops. I don't really know how I feel about that option, but really, it doesn't matter what I think. Everyone needs to do what they feel is best for them and how they want their kitchen to look. And please, please do not just leave it as painted walls and thinking you are going to get to it sometime later, because trust me, later may not ever come, and it will always give your kitchen that unfinished cheap look, especially after all that money and time that you have spent on that renovation. Now, another thing that will really put your kitchen over the top, in my opinion, after everything is complete, is that under cabinet lighting. Now, hopefully, if you're doing a renovation, you factored this in and you went ahead and hardwired the lighting into the wall. And while most of us, however, have opted for the under cabinet lighting that has the cords and such, and you just want to be careful with that, as you don't want those cords where they can be seen, or maybe have those cords just hanging down. It just doesn't look very good at all. And again, it can feel a bit cheap. Now, if you opt for this, just make sure you take just a little extra time to mount things out of sight as much as possible. And when you're renovating your kitchen, this one mistake I've seen from people, and I can even admit myself at times back in my early days of flipping homes, I did the same, but it's going cheap on a kitchen faucet. And let's face it, those faucets are never cheap, but buying cheap definitely portrays cheap, and it just does not look good at all. And again, I am just talking about a renovation on a kitchen. You spend all that money on cabinets, countertops, and such, and then deciding to not pay an additional few $100s more for that kitchen faucet that pulls everything together can just give that kitchen a little bit of a cheap look. Now, if you're upgrading your flooring in your kitchen, then make sure if you are doing it or if you hire it out that you install this correctly. I have been in many homes where there are gaps between the molding or baseboards. Sometimes the floor isn't put together correctly and it moves around and it just feels cheap. You can still see those nail and screw holes. And since this room is an important one, just be sure the little things are taken care of with that flooring. And if you have gaps around the cabinets, you can always put some Corduroy down to help cover it, caulk it and paint it, and it'll blend in with everything just fine. And whatever you do, just make sure that flooring is tight and all the baseboards are nicely installed, and it will finish your kitchen off nicely. Now, the things I covered hopefully will help you on your kitchen renovation project to avoid some items that may look bad. And I'm sure at the end of the day, your kitchen looks great, or it will look great once your project is complete. And I'd really like some input on your kitchen renovations or comments, so please leave them down below. And also share this video with anyone that may find this beneficial. And if you have other questions, or maybe you need a real estate agent referral out in your area, my contact link is down below. Please like and subscribe as well, and we'll see you next time.